Oh yes, you are watching Stepping the World, and this time you've got 30 seconds to guess where we are.
OK, a few clues. The capital of this People's Republic has been described as a labyrinth of doors, walls, tunnels, gates, entrances, temples, parks and museums. One of the country's major landmarks can be seen from the moon. A decade or so ago, the bicycle and yacht cart were the most popular forms of transport. But today, five-star hotels and modern high-rise blocks are growing almost as you look, and there are freeways and toll roads surrounding the city. Oh yes, we are in Beijing, capital of China.
Well, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and as ever, carrying the tripod first thing in the morning. This is day one, and something I've really been looking forward to. And there it looms, the biggest square in the world, Tiananmen Square. We arrived quite late last night and we haven't seen anything. One thing you do have to remember when you get here is it's a temperate zone. And here we are in March, rather stupidly, the three of us in t-shirts and no coats and jumpers. Everybody else looking quite warm. So one of the things on the agenda is to find some warmer clothes. There it is. Should be interesting to see how we get on filming in the square. I don't know if we're going to be allowed this. Well.
The thing to remember is be polite. Some people here love having their photograph taken, others dive for cover. Remember too that if there's a demonstration going on, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, put the camera away, otherwise you could end up down at the local nick for a couple of hours, or maybe a couple of days. And remember too that not all policemen wear uniform. There's a sprinkling of plainclothes plod amongst the crowd here.
Huge is an understatement. It's 6,000 square metres and not a pigeon in sight. It's everything I imagined, but it's kind of eerie here. There's a strange feeling. The guards are, well, you just get this feeling of tension underneath. They're watching everything. It's just everything I imagined.
Monuments like that of people's heroes dot the square.
It's difficult really to get the scale of it because all the buildings around are so big, aren't they?
It is just a big square at the end of the day though.
It is a very big square at the end of the day. You know, a lot of people, there's one there.
One person over there.
Yeah, our guide, stop taking the mickey, you. Our guide was saying that a lot of locals come here to fly kites.
Oh yeah.
And there's only one today, but it would be a nice place to fly a kite, isn't it?
Should we go and fly a kite?
We could. It'd be nice to go skateboarding around here though as well, wouldn't it?
It might get told off.
I think so.
Mao Zedong's mausoleum is here and the National People's Congress. The square has seen rallies of up to 1 million people, but the buildings seem almost dwarfed by a sea of paving slabs. This is the Forbidden City. So called because for over 500 years, no common people passed beneath its impressive portals.
Behind me, basically, is the largest palace in this complex, and it's elevated so that the emperor could see everything that was going on around him.
The Beijing administration prefers to call this amazing complex the Palace Museum. It was home to 2 dynasties of emperors. Now the Forbidden City is open to the public from 8:30 to 5 p.m. daily. Beijing has refurbished much of its historic monuments and buildings. I just wonder whether it's because the city has recently become conscious of its national heritage, or because doing so helps it make a few yen.
The Palace Museum complex is enormous. In actual fact, there are 9,999 rooms.
Why all the 9s? Well, I'm told that the Chinese believe that the number 9 has magical powers. So the next time you go for a Chinese meal, ask for a number 9 with a 99 and see what happens. And this is the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest. Originally built in 1420, a lightning strike burnt it to the ground in the 1800s. It was rebuilt within a year. Set on a three-tiered marble terrace, there are four main pillars supporting the dome roof representing the four seasons. There are so many palaces, temples and museums here, it would take a week of concentrated effort just to take in a fraction of what Beijing has to offer. But the people are friendly, despite a certain lack of communication on our part. When Marco Polo travelled to China, he amazed Europe with his tales of paper money and gunpowder. What has enthralled the Western world even more, and does so to this very day, is Chinese art. Their ability to fire clay and produce the most stunning artefacts 1,000 years ago is still a wonderful art form in China today. Here at the Beijing Enamel Factory, you can watch this production process from start to finish.
It makes for a very interesting hour. And here, of course, at the end of the process, you can buy the finished result. And let me tell you, this little chap is £380. Not cheap, but when you consider the workload that's gone into that, I feel it's quite justified. And finally, this little beauty takes 5 staff, 6 months or more of hard work to produce. So if you can afford the excess baggage and its price tag of £50,000, I think it's a bargain. Now, you know me, I cannot avoid a market. But this market, I have never seen anything like it. It's known as the night market. This whole street is just lined up with things skewered, and I mean things skewered. Let's start with snake. There's chicken, chicken livers, chicken hearts. You're not going to like this, but this is sparrow. We've got more sparrows. Squid, I can handle squid. I don't know what that is. What is that? Hom. Where's my translator here? What's that?
It's a kind of bird.
It's a kind of bird. Yeah, it's yeah. What are these? Limpets, I think. And these? I don't know.
We know what they are. They're larvae.
They're larvae.
They're silkworm larvae.
Thank you, Ben. Ben off camera knows they're silkworm larvae. I haven't got a clue what that is. Do you want me to cut here? Because this is just getting worse. Look, it goes on, and come and have a look down the street. It just goes on and on and on.
Well, it's a way of life, I suppose, and certainly not the kind of produce you'd find in an EU supermarket. But it might explain why there were no pigeons in Tiananmen Square.
Well, it's another day, and we're up bright and early. Or at least I wish I could say we're up bright and early. It's dull and early. And apparently there's a sandstorm on the way. What a change in the weather. I'm freezing. But anyway, I'm here to tell you a story of beauty and tragedy.
This was once the grounds of the old summer palace, originally laid out during the reign of Emperor Qianlong in the 12th century. At the emperor's request, it was based on a European palace designed by the Jesuits. Marble facades, interlocking gardens, and originally elaborate fountains and statues all form part of a fantastic formal European garden.
So it's rather ironic that Emperor Qianlong's beautiful palace of European design and splendour was eventually destroyed by the Europeans themselves.
During the Second Opium War in 1860, British and French troops looted the palace and set the place ablaze. Sadly, much of the building was timber, and now only the broken marble facades remain. It's been a long, hard day for the crew. We're heading back to the hotel and something to eat. The general consensus is that we should eat Chinese. Not a particularly unusual thing to do in Beijing, but one thing I did read gave me food for thought, if you'll excuse the pun. It said, 2 chopsticks stuck vertically into a bowl of rice resembles incense sticks in a bowl of ashes. This is considered a death sign in China, so don't do it.
Not another, not another, not another, not another. Chinese.
Larry, our exec producer, spent many years living in Manchester and so knows all about Chinese food. Apparently, aromatic crispy duck is prepared and presented very differently in Beijing. You eat the fat first in pancakes and then the meat and lettuce leaves. Oh, it's always nice to have an expert at the table.
What about Chinese?
Chinese.
Definitely did.
I love Chinese food.
The food's just as colourful as in Manchester or Swindon, but not half as colourful as Chinese entertainment. And getting as many ladies on a bike as humanly possible seems to hold the audience in awe. I'll see you after the break.